Hello, everybody, and welcome to United Appliance Servicers Association webinar. Today we have Daniel Beaulé and Dean Landers, and they're going to be discussing what's happening in the industry as entrepreneurs see it and how leadership is important to the industry and to your success. Dean, Daniel?
Yeah.
It's all yours.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, Dean.
Hi, Daniel. So bear with us a minute. We have a little bit of a connection problem. We're getting that sorted out. Can everybody hear me?
Daniel says yes.
Okay. So let us just go through some brief introductions so that you know who we are. Daniel, do you want to introduce yourself and I'll introduce myself?
Yes, sure. Thank you. So, Sarah, thank you for hosting this event. I think it will be a very interesting event. So, Daniel Beaulé, on February 4, 2011, I was at the 2011 ASTI in San Diego, and I was 4 days experience. So it's been almost 9 years now that I am in the industry. When we started, we had 7 people in the business, including me. We've had more than our share of issues. We learned a lot by trial and errors, but also by implementing best practices and methods. And since then, we grew from 7 employees to now 30 with a network of 11 subcontractors. We're growing steadily, and we're aiming to be at around 50 employees by 2022. So while giving the mindful leadership class in 2019 in Nashville, I had the opportunity to discuss with Dean and would like to exchange with you all what we had in mind and what's our take on the industry that probably will fit with what you see and feel. So, Dean, if you want to maybe give a presentation on your own.
Sure, thanks, Daniel. So I've known my own service business since 1983 at the age of 24. I was working for somebody else as a technician for 5 years. What I figured out after working for myself for a few years that working 80 hours a week was going to kill me. So I needed a different plan. So in 1989, I started attending conventions. I attended my first NARDA convention, and I was rubbing shoulders with other industry leaders. At the same time, I also created the Blue Book, which was a tool for me to price repairs. And in some of those conversations at those national conventions, I discovered that Blue Book was a tool for all companies to be able to make their profit margins. And so I started reading management books by Michael Gerber, Jim Collins, Stephen Covey, Spencer Johnson, and many others. And I structured my business model where I manage managers and not the day-to-day operations. I created a mission statement. I had individual department reports and regular meeting schedules. In short, I systemized my business where I can now spend just hours a week in the office and many weeks a year away from the office. I formed the first peer group 25 plus years ago to share best practices. All that is that I genuinely care about helping others, which is the same reason why I love the service business, because I like to help others. So what triggered this webinar? Last year, after the ASTI, I asked Daniel to come in a back room with me, and we sat down for a couple hours and brainstormed. And what we purposed to do is try and fill what I saw as holes in what I'm going to call the business acumen of the average appliance service business owner. So what we recognized is that there are, obviously, in our own understanding, there were holes, and we tried to fill those holes going out to learn. But we also tried to craft a plan to help the industry as a whole grow and learn deeper information, more detailed information about how to be a successful leader and entrepreneur. And so Daniel spent a great deal of time crafting a very detailed program to fill in the gaps that we had identified. And before, Daniel, I'm going to ask you some questions. What I want you to understand is the program is designed as all of my and Daniel's understanding is we always try to teach to the higher percentage of people in the class, understanding that if you teach to the bottom, the top is bored, the middle may be connected but already knows much of what you're teaching, But if you teach to the top of the class, the middle has a great deal to learn, and the bottom obviously has a tremendous amount of information to learn, so it benefits all. So the class is structured around leadership and entrepreneurial development. And so, Daniel, why is it so that we, from your opinion, why we crafted this program, and what is it that you hope to achieve by it?
Well, it's a good question. And, you know, after our discussion, what we found out is that we cover lots of subject related to tactical issues. So how do you improve your inventory? How do you recruit people? How do you manage your marketing? All important points, but lots of leaders have issues. They have core issues because if they want to grow their business, sometimes they don't have the time. They don't have enough time. So growing equals more hours in their case. Sometimes they have issues managing their cash flow. Sometimes they feel like they're managing a kindergarten, which is a big issue for them. So they have all these pains. They have all these pains that are related to leadership. And what we know that we found out and we discussed, Dean, during this time was that most people running businesses were previously technicians, or even they had administration background, but they were not qualified as leaders. So there are key skills that you need to have to be able to manage successfully a business, and this should be shared amongst the members. So this is the reason why we think it's mighty important, because after that, if you have those three skills, which are being self-aware and socially aware, which means who are you? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Are you good at doing everything that you need to do? And most people, actually, all of us aren't able to do everything perfectly, and we're not passionate to do everything. But we take it that as leaders, we should be doing these things without questioning it. But if we start questioning it, it helps us to see where we should put ourselves, and sometimes even, should we run a business? And it's a big question that you need to be able to ask yourself and have a proper answer, because otherwise it will be a big path of pain. So being self-aware. Second thing is, do you have the methods and tools to be able to anticipate all the problems that you will find during the growth of your business and solve them at the source to make sure that you avoid crisis? And the third skill is entrepreneurial reflexes. How do you make sure that you do not feel lonely at the top as much as we do? Because there are things we can share with our spouse, we can share with our banker, but we need to share them. So we need to find a way to have a network that is solid enough where we can share all these things and evolve as leaders. So those are the three skills that we somehow believe all entrepreneurs should understand and then work on to get better, and then probably reach a goal where they can be as Dean or even as I, working a couple of days a week, working on the business, working with our team to build them, empower them, and make sure that they deliver according to what's our vision.
Yep.
Still there, Dean?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, perfect.
Daniel, what would you identify, what did we try to identify that successful entrepreneurs actually do to be successful?
Well, the first thing is that, you know, when we talk about leadership, there are three prongs to being a great leader. You need to have a clear vision. You need to know where you're heading. And second thing, you need to be able to align all your team members on this vision. Make sure it's clear for them, and that then you provide them with all the tools and knowledge possible so they can achieve their goal. And the third thing is to build leadership. A leader is someone who's self-aware and is able to work on himself, So this leader's role, when he's able to do it, is now teach his team, every member, field people, CSRs, technicians, to become proactive, responsible, and understand correctly what's their role in the business. So clarifying everything is of utmost importance. The big issue is that how do you do that as a leader? How do you make sure that you clarify where you're heading, and then you cut it in pieces where you transfer these pieces to some of your people and they become accountable to do it, and they can deliver it the way you're expecting it. So there are ways to do it. So you talked about probably not right now, but before, Dean, about values, having clear values. So running your business on clear values helps you to have your people to assess everything they're doing based on your value. Do they have fun, and do they provide fun to their surrounding when they deliver what they have to deliver? Are they responsible? Are they showing respect? And whatever your values are. So as a leader, you need to be able to understand your why. Why are you running this business, and how can you sell this to your people so they will stick? So I'll just step back a second, because we talk about the why and we talk about values. And sometimes when I talk to leaders, they feel like, okay, I get it. I get that I need to have clear values, but I don't see it working in my business. So when you have clear values, so I'll give you our example at Service 2000. So our goal is to make the industry shine again. So it means everything that we're doing it to achieve this reason, this why. So when we deliver service, when we take a call, so our focus is to make this industry shine. And then our code, our guideline is our kit of 6 values. So it's pleasure, responsibility, respect, proactivity, mutual help, and honesty. So everything we're doing, so every act we have, let's say we repair an appliance, did we provide a fantastic experience to our customer? Are they pleased to have us? Were they respected? Were we responsible working on their appliance, making sure that if we need to repair it, it makes sense, and we don't sell or repair if it doesn't make sense, and so on. So everything that your people are doing, they're doing it following the code. And when my people come to work at Service 2000, they don't come to take 50 calls. They don't come to repair 8 appliances. They're there to change the industry one customer at a time. It really changed the mindset. And when another company comes and offers 50 cents or $1 extra per hour, even if it was possible in our case, they won't change, because what nurtures them now is not only the money, it's their belonging. They feel that they're making a difference in the world. So as leaders, we need to understand that we can switch the perception from just doing another repair or just taking another service call to bringing back peace of mind, like you say in your presentation when you talk about the GLEAPs, Dean, or with the CSR, putting a smile on a customer's face. So, and when you do that, you come back at home fulfilled and you've done the right thing. This is one of the most important part that a leader needs to understand. A leader controls this.
You identified in one of our exchanges a term that I liked. I don't know where you got it from, but entrepreneurial literacy. And all you've talked about, which I've heard, why, value, vision, culture, mission, all that ties to literacy and helps companies grow from whatever they are. It can be a one-man operation into whatever it is that they've set as success. So this entrepreneurial literacy is really this, I know you talk about a lot about work-life balance, so that you as a business owner don't have to work 80 hours a week in order to achieve what it is you set out to achieve. And if you were to identify the things that are most important for somebody, even on this call, to learn as a takeaway, what would you say is the critical component to to identifying so that you can move your business ahead into the next step?
It's a good question. So what I would say is that you need to be accountable towards yourself that you're exactly where your action brought you. So if you don't have enough time, if you live crisis in your business because you have issues discussing with your people, or you're not talking the same language, or you feel like they're not listening or they're not doing the extra effort, it's all your fault. Everything that's happening, ultimately, it's my fault. And entrepreneurial literacy is understanding what are the factors that explains why it's my fault. Was I able to provide a clear vision? Was it clear enough that people could understand it? Did I give enough information, clarity, so people can understand their role and fulfill their duty according to the higher goal? Was I able to leader to understand what are my strengths and weaknesses? And if it's a strength, I need to work on it. And if it's a weakness, I need to find someone who's good at it that will complement my work. So it's really a question of understanding how things are working. You know, who am I? Where do I fit? Where am I the best at? How do I surround myself with complementary people? And then putting a list of tools and methods. So the entrepreneurial literacy is understanding that there's a recipe for success, and it's starting to become coachable. Put the ego aside and be humble and start working on yourself and surround yourself with complementary people. And most people that will start this, you know, we're 42 right now in this webinar. So most of you might say, yes, Dan, I understand, but I don't have the time and I don't have the money. So that's why when we start this kind of process, we work on 10xing your productivity, increasing your productivity 10x. So what it means is we all work 40, 50, 60, 80 hours a week. We're not generating value, the same amount of value for each task. For example, if I go see a manufacturer and in 5 hours I sign a $100,000 deal with them, divided by 5, my output was $20,000 an hour. Then if I fill my parking receipts in an Excel sheet for my assistant to do it, the value I generate is $15 an hour. So where should I focus my time and effort if I can generate lots of value selling the business or repairing an appliance or optimizing my crew's skills so they can be faster on taking calls or reduce the amount of cancellations that we receive from customers? Where do I put my time? And then how do I make sure to optimize this? What am I passionate about? What am I good at? What am I not good at? Can I delegate this part? Can I automate this part? So this way, we shrink the time that you take to work your days. And then what I'm asking is, if you can save an hour a day because we've prioritized everything, this hour, let's invest it instead of doing the same thing that you used to do. Invest on improving your productivity further. How can you get better? How can you make sure that you take time with your people and value their work so you will decrease the churn, so less people will leave your business? How can you take time to better recognize your people's effort? How can you build a plan where you're not just selling repair jobs, you're changing the industry? Because you all need to remember that our industry is a tough one. You know, other industries, field service industries, are paying higher wages. So as an industry, we need to work on retaining our people and making sure that they really want to stick in our business and that they're really excited because they're changing the world one customer at a time. So, because if we don't do this with the scarcity of resource we're suffering right now, and that will increase over time, we'll have issues retaining our top people because they might be offered other opportunities anywhere else. So working right now at becoming a great leader and building your company as one of the best places to work in your industry will help you to retain your people, make them more productive, and then make more money. So all in all, taking care of your people will generate more profit.
One of the things that you had said several years ago that has always stuck, and you just repeated it using the example of meeting with the manufacturer and then also doing an accounting that you could pass off to somebody, and the difference in the ROI of your time. And I know so many entrepreneurs, leaders of small and large companies, where they disproportionately align their time to tasks that they really should give away, and instead focus on the larger vision for what they have to do and to keep everybody on task to the culture, mission of the company. And one of the great strengths that I think you bring to the table, Daniel, is that identifying the return on your investment to your time, not what you're comfortable with, but to where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck in your investment of time. So if you were to meet with an individual, you would go through what they do on a regular basis, and I assume that you would help them structure and help companies structure a job description, because I think that a lot of business owners don't even have a job description for themselves because they sort of do everything. So how important do you see a job description to flow through and start to formulate a why, a value, a vision with clarity?
Well, it's mighty important. If you don't have a job description, you can't measure. Paul McDonald would say you can't control what you can't measure. That's the same thing for a job description. Don't expect, so we talk about job description, but we could also talk about a script, because you want to make sure that you talk about this 1-year warranty that you're offering, or whatever value you bring to your customer, because every time you're working on perceived value. On the job description standpoint, you need to make sure that your people are doing all the things they need to do, because some of the work they need to do is not always cool. So they might be taking calls, but 2 or 3 hours a week, they need to call back your customers who filled their net promoter score and were not satisfied. So you need to nip this in the bud and make sure you call them back. But if it's not in the job description and you don't have a way to track if your people are doing it, if you don't have a proper dashboard, you're losing lots of opportunities to make more money or protect your reputation. So everything, if we say that we want to provide peace of mind to our people, or we want to change, make the industry shine, it goes back to every bit of work that people need to do. Were they smiling when they were talking to their customer? Did they take all the information? Did they validate that they had the model and serial number? So the job description needs to be clear enough so people need to know exactly what they have to do. But at the same time, I would strongly suggest that people are invited to evaluate their job description and identify, are there ways from their point of view that we could change it so it could bring more value to the customers. So, because as leaders or entrepreneurs, when we're not connected to the field, for example, in my case, we have 3 levels. I have managers and then I have field people. The information doesn't always come up. So I need to make sure that I have meetings, meeting rhythm, so all the information circulates. But also, why don't I just give lots of control over my people? So with clear job description, clear values, they can provide a discount to a customer because we'll have a first call complete, for example, or give them the capacity to solve an issue up to $250 per customer. So it's like if it was their own money. They start being thorough, checking out, and we avoid lots of management time supervising these people. So descriptions are important, but also meeting with your people to see how they can take more responsibility, which is a way to retain people, because people don't want to feel like they're treated like child. You know, they're adults, they're paying their mortgage, they have children. So why would we put a supervisor on them and just double check everything they do? So we need to build trust. So trust is very important in this part as well.
I like how you talked about accountability when I asked about entrepreneurial literacy, because in the job description, it identifies for leaders what they would be accountable for. And I think you can't have an accountable person until you know what they're accountable for, and you can't have a long-term plan with a clear vision unless you know what your job description is and what you're accountable for. So they all sort of go hand in glove. This idea of what you mentioned, Net Promoter Score and KPIs, owners should have those for themselves, right? So that we need to hold ourselves to a higher standard if we're inviting people that report to us to actually hold up to some accountable standards, right?
You're absolutely right. And one of my own KPI is the overall employee Net Promoter Score. And let me give you an example. We were scoring 8.9 as a Net Promoter Score in July. Since then, we're implementing an enterprise resource planning system. So we're migrating from ePass to another system. It's creating lots of turmoil in the business because we're switching from systems and lots of uncertainty, extra work that people are doing. And so I see my metric dropping from 8.9 to 8.4 right now. So I've been tracking this for the last few months, and I go and see what's happening. So people are working overtime on this. So how do I make sure as a leader that their work is still pleasant? How can I provide them tools to make sure that they're more efficient, that they don't turn around, that they have creative solutions? So the role of the leader is make sure that you empower your people, and then you make sure that you simplify their life. We talk a lot about customers and simplify and make the user experience pleasant, but your employees and your team is your internal customer. By the way, if you don't have employees, you have no customers. So the most important asset that you have are your employees. So how do you make sure that you work on simplifying their work and their experience? So how do you make it pleasant? So this is one thing that I need to track, and I need to make sure that people understand it for two reasons. If they see that I'm really interested in seeing how things are going on their end, they feel respected. They feel that, you know, it's recognition, you know, it really takes time to sit with me and see how things are going, and even personally, how are things, how's your spouse and everything. These couple minutes, they account for lots of productivity time, for lots of performance, and we must do this as leaders. And so every time I have a chance, I'm surveying my people and I'm surveying the metrics, and my role is to make sure that I always balance productivity and happiness at work. Since we've been doing the office vibe, and now we have meetings where we call this success meeting, where we talk about productivity, but we also talk about happiness at work and how can we help them. And it helps us jump in their personal life a little bit to see how are things with their spouse, do they have issues financially, is there anything that we can do? And then we can push them in the system, in a program that we have that will help them out. And so in short, your role is to make sure that people are happy and productive at work. And when it works fine, and when job descriptions are done correctly, and everybody has a clear way to measure their performance, things are running smoothly.
And if there's a phrase that I learned a long time ago, more is caught than taught, because you can teach people things, but if you're not modeling that to them in your own leadership behavior, you're actually communicating two things out of the same different sides of your mouth. So when you mentioned the ROI and tracking time, one of the things I've strongly encouraged people to do in leadership positions is to list all the jobs they do and then to list what they would pay an individual to do those various jobs, to see the disparity in those jobs. So the job one might be, I put out the trash. Job two may be, I answer the phones. Job three may be that I sit down and I meet with manufacturers. And each of those has a dollar value. This is the whole idea of ROI. And I know that you've done a really good job in helping leaders in this term entrepreneurial literacy, being able to wade through that so that they can recognize these jobs are not helpful for somebody at their level to be able to achieve entrepreneurial literacy because they're doing jobs that actually hold them back.
Yeah, exactly.
So that,
So yeah, I totally agree with you. And one thing I found out working with entrepreneurs, because I've been doing that as a coach for 6 years now, is that, we talk about this return on time invested. So usually when we start working with entrepreneurs and they say, oh, wow, I can shave like 10% of my time and reinvest it and become more productive. This exercise needs to be a recurrent one. It needs to appear every 3 months, every 6 months, because after a while, your work is to replace yourself, because you've been teaching a class on selling your business, I think, Dean, and nobody wants to buy a business where you're the heart of the business, and if you leave, it's like selling a car with no motor. You need to make sure that the business can run without Dean or without Daniel. It runs perfectly fine. So the way to structure this is, where do I need to replace myself with competent people so I can focus on what I'm doing the best at? But also as a leader, you're focusing on being, I'm sorry about that. You're focusing on replacing yourself in every step of the way. So you automate everything. And then if you want to work in a certain field, you have the leisure to do it. You'll be creating value, but it's not mandatory that you're working in your business. So at this time, your business reaches a lot higher value. So if you want to sell it to your employees, sell it to anybody else, you'll achieve your goal of, it will be your pension fund. It will be worth a lot. Otherwise, as you know, if it's not structured a lot at all, when someone wants to buy it, they might just buy your phone number because everything else is not automated. They might want to buy your text, pay a price to have your text, and that's it. So
one of the things that I've been thinking about the last couple of days, looking at leaders' job descriptions and seeing that a lot of times they get caught in the weeds and not staying focused on what are the bigger vision goals that they have for themselves, is that they allot themselves greater value than they should, or they're finding themselves minimizing in what they're doing as a task because it's easier than doing some of the big vision stuff. And so one of the things that I've encouraged people to do is to obviously write a job description, and then if you have a larger company, give away all those jobs. So as you write down the time for the return on your time investment, you might find to give it all away. And if you have a larger company, try and give away every job that you do. And particularly as you're nearing, you mentioned retirement. So I have done that class multiple times. If you're thinking about it, I don't care how old you are, you should always be thinking about that at some point. So how do you do that? Well, you have to manage your business. You have to manage your time. And one of the great ways to do that, Daniel, we talked a little bit about this over the years, is you try and give away all your jobs, and you do that by doing this. If you can't give it to anybody on your current staff, then it means you have the wrong people in place. So you might need to hire somebody. If you have somebody that can do it, they might identify that there's a training need that you have in bringing them up to speed to be able to do that job. And it might be, the third thing is, I find that as business owners, we keep interfering. We hire people to run departments, and then we keep running interference. We step over them, we step on them, we step around them, and it's not helpful to the flow of their own entrepreneurial entrepreneurial literacy, trying to bring them up. And what have you seen, Daniel, in terms of those three things? The wrong people, training requirements, and leaders over-involving themselves in responsibilities they've actually given away.
Well, what I see that crosses these three issues is trust. You need to have a system to hire people based on competency and values. Competency is we talk about the job description and making sure that they can deliver, because you can have the one who lives the value the best if they're not good. If you hire someone who has an accounting profile and you put him or her on a sales role, it won't work. So that's why we have, Criteria Corp. That's why we have systems where we can filter these people based on competencies. Second thing, you need to make sure that they live your values. So you need to identify them and live your values. How does living your value affects the way you deliver your service? So this needs to be measured. And the good thing is that when it's clearly set up, you can have people to self-identify. What do you think about, I'll give you an example. I have a subcontractor who's overcharging our customers right now. So we're having a discussion with him on Monday, and we'll ask him, what do you think about the value of honesty, the way you're working with the customer? Do you think it's okay? You're charging $120 to replace this part. It should cost probably $80. So what do you think will happen in the future? Well, if I do it again, I'll probably get fired. So, okay, so you understand that when we'll come back to you with this, it's over. Yes, perfect. So that having clear values and clear job description puts the drama aside. Obviously, when you want to be comfortable doing this, you need a contingency plan. You need to make sure that your people that you might replace or free up their future, like we said with humor last time, you need to have people on the bench that will be ready to jump. So it means that you need to anticipate all these changes in the future and make sure that you recruit twice as much or 3 times as much as you might need, because you will have illness, retirement, bad behavior. But it's all a question of trust. After a while, when your people live the values, your people come to be a core in your business. They're a core. In our case, if you came in my business, you'd see that people are laughing, but when it comes the time to work, they work hard, they play hard. And it happens sometimes that we bring new people, and the best way to make sure that they fit in our business is to have interviews with the people that are working here that live the values. So when your values are strong enough, anybody who doesn't live the values will be rejected from the core, which is pretty powerful, because they will say they don't live the value. They're not respectful like we're expecting it. So if you set everything in advance, you have no drama. But it means that as a leader, you need to help people have the time to put in place all this, to be able to measure and evaluate. Sometimes we'll say, we don't have time to compile data because we have more service calls to do. But on the long run, it will catch up. So it's not a question of trust.
So, we've talked about why, value, vision, culture, mission. For a lot of companies, particularly small companies, they may roll their eyes. Large companies may have pieces of that, not all of that. So with your experience in coming alongside a company that has some or none of these things, how long have you seen it take for leaders to develop this term or achieve this term, entrepreneurial literacy?
It takes a couple of years to really understand how it affects people. So 2 things. First thing is that when you start putting this in place, somehow it's a leap of faith. It's a leap of faith because that's what we're telling you. You have no clue. You don't have the experience. Will it really work, the values? Will people really stick in my business? When you start stepping back and using your judgment and not letting your environment running your business, but you step back and you start running your business and you start granting yourself the time to start thinking, identify factors to say no to some customers that are taking too much time, learning to love your team, and acting as a parent. Sometimes being a parent is reprimanding, is telling them you can't do this. But you're building people. So learning to do this can take a couple of years to really master everything. But if someone starts putting in place what we're teaching, defining your first set of values, putting it on the wall with a sign under construction, working on 10xing your productivity, starting to assessing yourself to understand, are you more of a technical role, of a managing role? Are you good at organizing? Are you good at perfecting your art? Then you can start working on things where you're passionate about, and good at, and start finding other people. So it all goes along. We can see improvement in probably 3 to 6 months, because when you start putting the values in place, your employees are watching you. They're watching you and they're wondering, okay, is that the newest trend? Is that the trend of the year? Are we testing something in 2020 and it will be something else in 2021? So they need to see that there's something solid. But after a while, they start understanding that it's true, that, this mission that you've defined or that you're defining is the right one. And they start acting upon it. They start seeing, and I see that, the skills required to be able to do this is you need to be humble. Lots of entrepreneurs, because they're at the top of their business, they think that they're the best. We're just part of this group. We're the part that can grab a customer. We can probably repair the appliances better than some of our people, answer the calls better than some of our people. But frankly, we're nothing if we don't have our team. So be humble and consider yourself as a part of the machine instead of the brain, So leave room for your people to take place in your business. Empower them with the tools and encourage them when they do good things. So it takes time, but after a while, you're building trust. People see that you're right, and they see that, for example, in my case, I'm not organized at all. When I mean at all, it's at all. So I have someone who works with me, and she's the one, she knows exactly how to structure everything that I'm thinking and I'm putting in place. I accept that I'm not organized, and people know that I'm not organized. They're even more patient with me than they could be with someone else, because they know that it's not my cup of tea, and I'm doing my best not to be a dog in the bowling alley, that as least as possible. But my role is clear, and their role is clear, and this way. So learning where's your place, or where do you fit in your business, and then making sure that you surround yourself with complementary people, and then put the processes in place, can take a couple of years. But the first steps that you're putting in place already start generating value in terms of time saved, in terms of focus, in terms of stopping to service your low paying, high demanding customers. So just taking the time to be more efficient, you have a return on your investment fairly quickly, a couple of months.
So I've noticed that a lot of companies, and we've talked about this before as well, don't have a really solid vision. They don't have values. They don't understand their why, what they like to do, why they like to do it in their business. But without the long-term vision, they really don't have anything to shoot for particularly. And I found that vision summary, and I know you went through the Gazelle Group training, the scaling up with Bern Harnish training, which has been very helpful to me, where that vision summary identifies a quarterly, yearly, and a long-term 3 to 5 year plan, so that it ties to what your long-term vision is for the company. So now your quarterly aligns with your yearly, aligns with your 3 to 5. And what I found is that I change that. Every quarter, I'm reassessing what I did in the quarter, does it align with the 1 year, and does it align with my 3 to 5 year? And I wondered how many times that you've noticed in working with companies, they've started out with a vision and they've had to tweak it because it's not quite in line, or it's grown, it's changed because of the people that they have and the things that they're focused on.
Yep. So this is why these structures, they help you forecast where you're heading. Obviously, I'll give you the example, in this vision summary, you have the big audacious goal. This is a 10 to 15 years goal. And by the way, it applies to the mom and pop shops because you want to optimize your business and make sure that you're profitable, the most profitable possible. But it applies also to high growth firms. So obviously, you have no clue where you'll be in 25 years. But if, for example, in my case, we say that by 2036, we'll have 500 employees. We're now at 30 plus 11 subcontractors. We're aiming at 500 employees. So it's in 17 years. How will I do that? Partly with appliance repair, partly because we'll do HVAC or we'll do domotic, or security. It doesn't matter. But then we see why can we say that we can achieve this? Because our reason, our why is strong. We want to change the world. The field service, the way everybody knows, some subcontractors that will come to your place and they'll say, okay, I'll be there between 3 and 5. And then they call you at 4:45 and say, hey, by the way, it will be tomorrow. Or, so, bringing peace of mind is the way we work. So this is our why. The second thing is, where are we good at? We're working to be the best at logistics, making sure that everything we say, we do, we say. So we make sure that we deliver everything according to what we said. And every time we're dropping the ball, we see why it happens. So it means that we need to manage our manufacturers, our part distributors. Sometimes we need to manage everything that's outside our circle to make sure that when we call the customer, it's always proactive and they always know in advance what's happening. So if we're the best at doing that, and it's profitable because we chose our customers and we said no to some of them that were not, either they were not paying enough or they were too hard to handle, there's no reason why we won't achieve our goal. Obviously, you might stop working with a manufacturer or bring another one, or you might decide to go do commercial appliances, which you were not doing. So it will change over time based on opportunities. You might have someone who's so strong at commercial appliances that you say, hey, we'll open this branch so you can double your business now. So, but at least it's like a marathon, if you're running, I don't know how much it's in miles, probably like 25 miles. If you run 25 miles, you need to know where your knees will hurt, where you'll have issues breathing, because at this time, you know how to behave. You need to slow down or you need to drink a little water. So the plan helps you forecast where you're heading. And when you anticipate everything, you can have contingency plans to make sure that if you're going to lose employees, you know where you'll find the new ones, you know where you'll find capital, and so on. So having a plan, really, it takes a little bit of time upfront, but it saves you so much time and crisis during the business. So that's when you have quality time, because you don't have to, you have less crisis in your business, which is the most important part, actually.
Yeah, that idea of avoiding crisis is really just simply being prepared for the crisis. And that's part of what identifying a quarterly, yearly, and long-term goal does for you. And I knew what your BHAG was, big, hairy, audacious goal. But how does that fit with what would be your long-term goal, your 3 to 5? Do you make sure that they're in alignment and you're reassessing those on a regular basis?
Yes, actually, we're on our way to reevaluate our 3 to 5 years. I put it as a 3-year because 5's a little bit too far. So our goal by April 30th, 2022 is to have 48 employees and 25 full-time equivalent technicians. So now I'm working on where will I get these extra 12,000 calls to fill these roles, for example. where will I find these extra technicians? I need to train them. We found a way to invite some from France that will work in Canada for us. We're training more, and we know that we'll have retirement. We know that we'll have illnesses. So our contingency plan tells us that every year we need to bring 4 more technicians in our business, because we'll probably lose 1 or 2 every year. Second thing, we're planning to open in other cities in our area. Actually, Luigi, my business partner, is in Quebec City, and he's actually talking to other business owners to see, hey guys, what's your 3 to 5 plan? Are you planning to retire? So would you be open to be in a partnership where we'll buy back your business? And so we're already putting our things in place. We're implementing our enterprise resource planning right now to make sure that we can scale this business from the equivalent of 17 full-time techs that we have now to 100 techs. So we're thinking in advance, where might we fail and how will we solve this? And then stay aware of all the opportunities that are coming up.
So there's a lot of companies that might be on this call that are larger companies, get real excited. Some smaller companies may think, well, gosh, this isn't for me. But the bottom line is you're really talking about preparation and structure, because everybody at some point is going to retire or is going to provide for their family in the event that they have an unfortunate accident. And so how does that work? So what we know is that if you're prepared because you have a structure in place, that you have something that then becomes a saleable asset. And what I've seen in what we've talked about, what you've created in this program, is just that. You're creating companies to have saleable assets.
Yeah.
In a service company, the primary asset in most companies, small companies, is the technician themselves. But there's a lot of people that if there's a good structure in place with a solid customer base where they're profitable, that's a sales asset in and of itself. Most companies that I've done assessments for, the monies come, and what you would want to pay for is getting the technician because they're fully trained. But small guys could understand putting time and energy into the preparation and structure, that they then would have a saleable asset separate and aside from their own sweat equity, their own effort to being a technician. They're not selling themselves as the technician. They're selling their preparation structure internal to their company. And I think that's something that your program does exceptionally well. It brings up all levels of companies, whether it's large or small. It takes them to the next level.
Exactly. And it's fairly simple. Lots of people are not growing their business. Even if you're a mom and pop shop, you're the only tech in your business, you probably tried to hire someone and it was a pain because you were not able to drive them. You didn't understand each other. This program will help you set clear rules so you can make sure that you clarify expectation for all aspects of a role. So if you decide to have one more tech, this is how I'm expecting you to work. First thing. Second thing, these are the values that we're living. So how do you filter people and hire them based on values? How do you correct their behavior based on the values? How do you congratulate their work based on the values? And how do you fire them or promote them based on values? Learning why people are acting the way they act helps you change the way you're dealing with people, and it puts aside all the crisis. So it works for a mom and pop shop. It works for, in our case, the supervision layer in our business had issues dealing with awareness, dealing with different people, and understand that it's not because you're super good as a technician that everybody gets it the way you get it. So you need to be able to put yourself in other people's shoes. But as a leader, it's your job to train your people so they can develop their awareness. Awareness is good for technicians and CSRs as well, to be able to, so they're not just repairing another appliance. So the goal actually of this program is start understanding yourself. Who are you? Who are you in this business? Where are you the best at? And where shouldn't you be and replace yourself with other people? And when we say replace yourself, if you're a mom and pop shop, you don't have to hire another full-time person. Probably it can be a virtual assistant that will help you on some things. Your accountant could do part of your job, so you can focus on where you're bringing the most value, the highest value per hour. So that's why we're.
Thanks for that. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So, well, I see that we're running late, and I just want to tell you in short that the reason why we had this discussion is, my own mission statement in life. When I was young, I wanted to make money. I wanted to be rich and everything. I understand now that leaders, that people that are leading companies, they can make their business a place where people can be really happy and valued, or they can be burnout generators. And I believe that we have the strength as leader to make these fantastic workplaces, so we can bring quality people. So this way we will protect our business, grow our business, and be happier in our business. Because my goal in life is to inspire people that I run into, and business owners, gain control over their destiny. So this program is built to help people achieve this goal of get control over your destiny and drive profitable, happy businesses.
And I've obviously seen it, so I can align with that and say I think that's what you achieve. One of the great challenges for everybody on the call, I hope you understand, is that as an entrepreneur, as a leader, you're the own challenge to yourself to scale up. So you're scaling up not just your business. It has to start with scaling yourself up, and that will bring you to a new level of entrepreneurial literacy, which raises everything in your company around you. It raises you and everything around you to a new level, and that is really the essence of scaling up your business, because it scales up yourself. Daniel, I really appreciate the energy and effort you put into crafting this program. I have
my pleasure.
Expectations for it, for the success of it, and I hope many of you will look into it, because I think it will serve the industry and each individual company extremely well if it's embraced fully.
Thank you, Dean.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Dean. Thank you, Daniel, for your presentation, your conversation. I'm sure people are going to be talking about it and reaching out. And if anybody has any questions, they can email us at administration@unitedservicers.com, and we will have this recorded available later today for playback. So thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time. Have a great day.
Bye.